Monday we are here recording, but
The Stars won.
hey, check that out. And Knicks basketball starts tonight. If you're like me, well, I mean the playoffs are underway, but
Shouldn't bring up basketball.
nah, that's all right. I know. Well, sorry. 77 forever.
Oh no. So I guess we have the unfortunate responsibility to get into it, don't we?
Yeah, we do have to jump into this there. Quick shout out to all of our DBG members, fans, everybody who's listening. Please comment. If you're in Discord, throw some comments in there. If you don't want to throw publicly, obviously comments on our social media and stuff like that are important for getting stuff ready. But if you're listening, help us blow this up, please.
And I mean, at minimum, tell us what we're doing wrong.
Right? Yeah, you come talk crap. I mean, you can come talk crap to my face in person if you'd like, but do it in the Discord too. You know that works.
Dennis takes criticism well. That's what I've learned.
I absolutely do not.
There's a lot to give.
So we are back. This is episode 12 of Blood, Sweat, and Beers. I am DBG Vice President Dennis McGowan here with Director Hubertito, and we're here to talk FC Dallas Trinity, and maybe a little beer, maybe a little coffee. Who knows? We'll see what we get.
Mostly coffee today.
Mostly coffee today. I've been sick
a little too
all
much
week.
beer last night for me.
I've been sick all week. I haven't really had much besides Robitussin and tea. So,
well, that sounds miserable.
It is. It's disgusting. Not as miserable as Saturday and Sunday's games, but we'll get to that in just a second.
Do we have to?
We do. So let's jump into let's start with Saturday night, Snapdragon Stadium. The boys in red go on the road to San Diego, which means what does San Diego mean? Does anybody know
it means a whales. I don't know if I'm gonna have to.
I don't. Can we say vagina? I think we could say vagina.
It's a medical term. It means a whale's vagina.
Anyway.
San Diego.
This was a stinker. This was an absolute stinker. 5-0 loss. Chucky Lozano, 2 goals, 2 assists.
Which is a crazy good stat, by the way. That's like a common stat in this league.
It's not a common stat in most leagues. Let's be real.
Yeah. No, that's brutal. Well, do you want to go moment by moment, or do you want to just talk about it?
Let's just talk about it. What went right? What went wrong? What's our reaction here? Because there's a lot to unpack here. I think there were some good takeaways, but this was largely a stinker.
I think the biggest discourse I'm hearing online more than anything is less about 5 goals and more about the 3 in the back formation that people have gotten pretty, let's say, unhappy with in the past because of our Nico era. But as other people have pointed out, that 3 in the back has been a problem in previous times too. I mean, all the way back to Papi.
I don't like it as a formation, as a general rule, especially in a league like this, and you know, not just in FCD world. I just don't like the idea of a 3 at the back formation unless you're dealing with either, you know, world class caliber wingbacks that can get forward and get back defensively very quickly, or world class midfield players that can get back and really, you know, defend with the line. And this is not a team of either of those things.
For me, I think I've enjoyed watching this formation historically, but the problem is, like, you got to have the personnel. They've got to know the formation. And I think the times I've enjoyed it have been more when a team has shifted into it versus trying to play the whole game with it. I don't mind the 3 at the back situation, but, you know, you got to look at your depth, right? And you got to think about your 3 center backs that are playing, and they're pretty much your only starters. I mean, what are you doing? And none of them really play in this kind of formation to begin with.
Well, the change, I mean, led to 3 of the 4 goals last week in Miami. So it's not complete.
I understand wanting to let it ride.
Right. But also the personnel is not there. And, you know, again, to your point, you only have 3 center backs and they're all out there. Somebody gets hurt. Now what? We've already got a wounded defense. There is no backup left back. There is no backup right back. I mean, I guess Nolan Norris was the backup left back with Julio playing you know, a more forward winger. But again, Julio's not a defensive guy. Shaq Moore's not a defensive guy. So you're asking one or both of them to get back on defense, which is not you know, not something in their repertoire. Shaq a little bit more. Anderson, Julio, absolutely not.
It's shocking to me that when we're talking about this formation and the defense, that the person we're talking about in a more positive light across the fan base is Julio, who's never really played that role.
Right.
And that's insane to me. I don't know. What freaked me out the most going into it was looking at Ibby in the middle behind Ramiro and just thinking neither of those guys is that quick, doesn't really have the recovery. and that
And
freaked me
Ibiaga
out.
refused to stay home too,
Yeah,
right?
and I think we learned that was a good concern. What would we say? 4 out of those 5 goals, Ibby got pulled out, right, or spun or something. I that was a bad one. That's a lose your starting job
Yeah,
performance
look,
for
we,
me.
we can sit here and crap all over Ibiaga as much as we want. We've done it before, right? After the Chicago game, I was ready to ship him off to wherever we could get a bag of balls for him. And obviously, I would have personally, and I think a lot of people feel this way too. I would have loved to see the combination of Oz and Tafari in the back there.
We
And
were
I think
robbed, friends.
I think we're absolutely robbed of that. But Oz getting out and getting that early yellow completely changes the way he's able
Yeah.
to defend here too, because now he can't be the stay-at-home guy because he can't pick up another card. And I think just what could go wrong, Murphy's Law here, everything that possibly could have gone wrong went wrong. And to the lesser-known McGillicuddy's corollary to that law is at the worst possible moment, and it did 5 times.
I the first few minutes before the penalty, and we'll get into the penalty in a second. I think we should at least. The development that was happening in the build-up play into the attack, I actually really enjoyed watching, and a lot of the game I enjoyed watching the build-up, but to no product at the end, which was unfortunate. Uh, I really think that this is one of those scenarios where that penalty just completely changed the game.
It took all the air out of the Dallas team. It just took all the life out of them. They were playing catch up the whole match. And first of all, it wasn't a great call, right? Let's talk about it.
I think most people that I've talked to, given we're all FCD people for the most part that I'd spoke to, did not think that was a good call. And if you set the precedent of that being what you're going to call, then you're going to be calling a lot more of them, right?
Yeah. So again, I don't think that was a foul to begin with. B,
Agreed.
did it happen in the box? I don't think so. I could be wrong about that. But the ref show that was this match, and not that I'm taking anything away from San Diego's ability and Chucky Lozano's ability to,
I mean, they were clearly better.
Right. They're the better team. They beat the crap out of us. Martin Paz looked like dog crap. I'm sorry. And a lot of that was the defense. And I'm not jumping on the anti-pause bandwagon as much as we joke about that here. I'm not jumping on the anti. But looking at what happened with Paz and the defense that played in front of them, they played like crap, right? They
Look,
played
bad
like
games are bad games.
back. But this was an awful show from the ref. Like if you're calling that a penalty that early on, if you're calling that a foul that early on in the game, if you look at some of the fouls or some of the contact that took place much later in the game, he doesn't call any of them. Very similar
Crazy how
contact.
quick VAR agreed.
Yeah,
Crazy how quick the VAR check.
I don't even think he actually went to VAR. I think the attitude on his face too when he was being challenged on it was just like, what do you want from me? Who are you? Who are you? Why do you challenge me? Like, get the hell out of here with that nonsense. I don't like when refs don't and dissent is a completely different conversation here. But you could be dissenting and you could be respectful, and I think there was respect there. And he just turned. It was just I'm better than you because I'm a ref was the attitude. And again, I'm going by 3 frames of Apple TV, but that was my take on the attitude he gave when challenged on that.
Sure, and I mean, I'd have to watch it now removed from it to even see how I actually feel about the ref, but I've watched the actual foul a few more times. And I don't see it, but that referees tend to give and take. I do trend towards whenever you get bad calls, you probably end up getting the calls for you later, anyways. I think it ends up being a wash. So, like, I'm going to complain about it in this game, and it's a bummer. But I think down the road, or even in previous games, it levels out. But it's still frustrating because this one changes the game completely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say we had the momentum because all the charts say we didn't, but we were doing good build-up play. We were setting ourselves up. We weren't taking our chances, which is typical Dallas, but. The game definitely regresses after that penalty.
Yeah, it definitely tilted the momentum heavily in San Diego's favor, and Dallas was just not able to battle back from that. And that's something to be said about a young team, and frankly, a team that's kind of not deep at the moment, right? There's not a lot of roster depth here. There's a lot of injuries still, and this is an issue that's been going back, to last year as well, and beyond that even too. But we're dealing with an injury-prone team. We've got Peter Musa is still out. I hope to God he's back for RSL
Oh God,
next week. My goodness. As much as I love Logan Farrington as a player and as a person, big fan of him on and off the field, but playing with Lucho, he's just not up to it yet. I just don't think
It
what to
clearly
play
doesn't
for.
have the chemistry that Musa has with him. That Musa Lucho connection
Mucho
grew
Lucho,
surprisingly fast. Like, what'd you call it?
Mucho Lucho,
Mucho Lucho. Oh,
Mucho Lusa. No,
I don't know. I hate both of those. We'll figure
it's
something out.
terrible. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah.
We need
But yeah, so penalty changes the game. Momentum shifts. I think that
Moose and Squirrel.
Moose and Squirrel is the classic one at this point. Yeah, San Diego take advantage. They're a good enough team to do that. Choque Lozano's not a joke. There's a reason he was their big man. There's a reason it cost what, 12 million.
And they went out and got their player, and they paid for it.
Yeah, I mean it pays to pay sometimes.
It pays to
pay.
know what you want. It pays to know what you want and know what it costs.
Yeah. So after that, I don't even remember what the other goals were. Honestly, all I remember is Ibe getting pulled out of position and Ramiro getting ran by.
There's the one where Paz comes out of goal, and
That was such a confusing moment. Definitely displayed a mistrust in his defense in that moment.
Yeah, and that's a great way to describe that goal. Is he did not trust his defense. He came out and he made the wrong decision and just got beat.
Yeah. Would you say kind of got caught in no man's land because he came out a little, probably?
Yeah, exactly. He kind of got caught in no man's land, and then he could have maybe jumped on it, but it might have resulted in another penalty at that point too. And once you've already given up a penalty, and by the way, credit to Paz for the attempt on the save on the penalty. He got a hand to it, and
oh yeah, that's always
him back in.
unfortunate. There's nothing worse than getting a finger or a hand to it, and it's still going.
And he got a full hand to it, and it just sort of just popped up and rolled over him, and there was not much that could be done there. And
the commentator did bring up a point on that one, and I think he was probably right. The kick was a well taken kick because it bounced perfectly. Yeah, where it needed to bounce to throw the keeper off, and I think it was just a well taken kick.
Great kick, just a little unlucky on the touch there. That if the momentum goes in a different direction or it spins at a different angle, maybe it's out, right? But
yeah, not to mention the quality of that field; it could have gone anywhere.
Right. I don't know how Major League Soccer allows a professional team or professional teams to continue to play on that disgusting pitch. I thought it was turf for the first half of I thought it was just really bad turf.
Yeah, not good turf either.
I hopped up on cold medicine all weekend, just not feeling great watching that game. But I legitimately thought it was turf for the first half of the match until somebody pointed out, oh no, they're playing on grass. It was really, really bad grass. And then they came back. Then they came back from the second half, and you could see that the patches where the sprinklers just soaked there, no drainage whatsoever. People's bodies sliding all over the place. It's a surprise that nobody gets hurt out there more often. This is like, I don't know how the league allows that to stand, but here we are.
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine they probably get a tiny bit of leeway getting their stuff sorted out year one, maybe. I have no idea. I can't tell you, but with how much money you spent on the franchise, you should be able to afford to get that field going. I don't know if it's managed by a different group or something, but
yeah, this definitely feels like a entirely burn the tape and move on and come home. And
yeah, there's not a ton of positives I feel like to take out of it.
If you had to pick one, though, who's your man of the match?
So when we did our man of the match for DBG on the Chant app, I think I literally just kept scrolling until I was like not disgusted by, I don't know, the passing rating or something. I don't even remember. And in that moment, I picked Pedrinho just because I was like, I don't know, pick a young guy. But I don't think that's probably right. I think maybe for being a non-factor more than anything, I picked Pedrinho. So I don't know. It's got to be maybe
Pedrinho's not a bad choice. It's
Logan or Julio for me. I'm trying to pick between those two because I don't think Julio was responsible for anything that went wrong, and I don't think Logan was responsible for anything that really went wrong, other than just poor shot decisions.
Yeah, and Logan had there was one attempt where I think it was Lucho across goal to Musa, and Musa had a decent line, but had Julio was open even more to his left, and Julio absolutely would have slotted that in if Logan had just made one more pass. But I don't. I'm not crapping on Logan for taking that shot. Right. That was a shot he absolutely, as the 9, that's the shot that you take, right? But it's one of those things that, again, these are guys that have not played a ton of time together. They're, backups and out of
Right.
and change of formation. These are things that really, ideally, by this time of the season, we would see starting to gel. But I think injuries have made it a little bit worse.
Right, as happens. Okay, I'm giving it to Logan
Okay,
only because I'm thinking about a handful of moments
big dog.
where Logan kept fighting even if he wasn't playing his best. I could think of a couple of fouls he drew just because he didn't just decide to give up. And even though they weren't his chances directly, he led to a couple of free kicks and corners and things that could have been potentially goal scoring opportunities that he created just by being himself and being a little gritty. So I'll take that. But Julio's right there for me.
Yeah, I
Well.
think mine's going to be Pedrinho just because of coming he showed a lot of good decision making. I think there were one or two that shots that I kind of wish he had made another pass on. Again, same conversation, but I do think that Pedrinho was better than expected, and I think he's been performing way better than anybody expected to all season. So he gets my man of the match here for this one.
Do you think he's done enough to keep that starting spot that he earned last game?
I don't know. It depends upon what formation we come back
I
with
think you're
this week.
probably right. Yeah.
Right. It depends upon what the formation is this week. Maybe we see him back at the wing again at some point.
I'll be honest. I think you don't see Lucho Acosta play Wednesday. I think you see
I don't think so
Pedrinho
either. I
and
think
you rest him, right?
but you'll have to tune in to our U.S. Open Cup special to hear our predictions for that one. We're not
Fair.
going to go too far into that one right now, but I do want to briefly touch on next Saturday at home versus RSL with no Ramiro because he picked up his second yellow and
It's gonna happen eventually.
picked up enough yellows to miss a match. So Ramiro will obviously be in that U.S. Open Cup lineup since he's not going to be playing on Saturday.
You might as well
versus
run him
RSL.
ragged at that point.
Right, exactly. But any thoughts on RSL coming to town this weekend? Next
I think
weekend? This
RSL
upcoming
is
weekend? I don't know what day it is anymore.
yeah,
Again,
right.
lots of
Fingers
cold
thrown off.
medicine.
I think they're a beatable team, that's for sure. I kind of would wait to see if we're going to see any Marco Farfan, Peter Musa, or heck, even Pax. We're on Paxton watch, aren't we? He's off the injury report.
We
So
are on Paxton watch. He is listed. He is not listed on the injury report, and I think we see Musa by then too, by Saturday.
I hope so. I'd like to at least for a few minutes. That'd be nice. I wouldn't want them to rush any of those players, but let's wait and see. I think Salt Lake is beatable. My concern is this is Diego Luna.
Yep.
Man, I hate the idea of watching Diego Luna against.
I just hate Diego Luna.
I love Diego Luna. Dang, man. Kill to have a Diego Luna. But I think when I picture him playing against this team, I'm freaked out that we're going to see Ibiaga against him. And he's just going to run riot.
Do we see Ibiaga against him?
I don't know. It'll depend on the formation, right? At the same time, you got to think midweek rest. If you've got your three center backs, you're assuming Osaze is going to start for both of those games, right?
I think so.
Do you think the same center back starts next to him both games? I think you probably flip them, right? Probably for the most part. So who you play for the Open Cup game, Lawless or Ibby? And then do you play Lawless or Ibby for the next game? That's my thought process. I don't know. But I'm really freaked out about that. I don't think Salt Lake's attack is bad just because they have Luna. I'm still concerned about our form at home, right? Still can't seem to get points at home. Hopefully there's a wake-up call there and that switches soon. And I have trouble believing it won't come. But the longer we go, the more I'm like, oh, this is... Oh, boy.
Starting to be a concern. But
we're starting to look like Austin FC did a season or two ago. And
that's not something I want to... That's not who I want to be affiliated with. That's not who I want to remind people of.
Yeah, I mean, green is tacky. Oh, that's not what you meant. My bad. Anyway.
As is Boston Celtics green.
I don't know what to necessarily expect. I can't say we're going to win, but I think we definitely have a chance. I think we're going to see what this team's character is bouncing back.
And I think they need to come out and make a statement at home. Honestly, I think Quill needs to make a statement at home. Needs to do it for us.
Well, here's my other thought process. If you go real hard on the Salt Lake game, you do have a week off, but your next game is against your one and only, the only relevant rival.
Which is, it's now Western night or something. They're
something like that. But you're playing against your hated rival a week after that. I don't know. Maybe you think 7 days is enough to rest everyone, so maybe it won't matter. But
Yeah, I think you have to go into Houston with your best 11, regardless. Your best 11.
Look, you can't
that
lose
week.
to Houston at home.
No, we will boo you out of this.
We have a history of wrecking our rivals at home.
We will boo you out of the stadium if you lose to Houston at home.
Yeah.
I will be the one with the megaphone, so I will be leading the boos. I promise you, I will be leading the boos if we lose to Houston at home. Eric
Anyway,
Quill, if you're listening,
I'm gonna say that Quill has done a really good job when we get thrashed defensively about organizing the defense again. I think they might be good enough to limit RSL to 1 to no goals. Maybe we'll see our first win, I would hope, depending on what happens on the offense.
Yeah, let's see where we end up here. I'm excited. Double match week coming up. You will hear from us on FC Dallas next week. You will also catch us a little later this week discussing that U.S. Open Cup game at home for Alto. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in our next podcast.
Before we leave FC Dallas here too, I shout out to the front office. It's one of the only times you'll hear me say that, right? Because
rare.
As supporters, we tend to vilify them. But
you mean we don't have a great relationship with the FO like everybody else in this league?
Crazy thing is, we actually have one of the better relationships with our FO. Actually, actual shout out to the FO. They try, and we sometimes don't make it easy. So, but they're doing this really cool lead up to the Open Cup game, where they're sending trivia questions. I don't know if you saw this, Dennis.
I not only have I seen, but I have had an entry every single day, and I've won absolutely nothing. I'm very disappointed.
But it's really cool.
Preston, if you're listening, pull my name out of the hat.
They're doing this really cool Open Cup trivia thing, which, it's more love than this club has shown the Open Cup in a long time. More than this league has shown the Open Cup in a long time. Questions like, what year was it founded? What's today's question? Do you know?
Today's question was, what was the name of our team when we won the cup in 97?
Oh, well, that one's easy. It's Dallas Tornado, right? Just kidding. But yeah, it's stuff like that I think is really fun. A lot of us diehard supporters already know a lot of these questions, or we could get close to the answer. A lot of people that don't realize why the cup is important don't know these, and they don't realize that history goes back to
I think one of the questions was
one of the answers.
One of the questions was, when was the cup changed for? When was the name of the cup changed for Lamar Hunt? How many goals? How many career U.S. Open Cup goals does FC Dallas legend Kenny Cooper have?
Yeah, I don't know that one, but I know he's really high.
I think it was 13.
I was gonna guess 14. Dang it.
But yeah, cool stuff that even if you don't know the answers to, if you go look them up, you learn a little bit more about club history and where we come from.
And I think that's the intent, because no one's going to know all of them, especially if you're not someone who's been following the Open Cup and the team for long. So you go look it up, and all of a sudden you start learning about this Lamar Hunt.
You get down a Wikipedia rabbit hole.
And then you go, wait, we have an Open Cup club at the stadium? What is that?
Yeah.
By the way, get down there, look at the pennants of all the random teams that have won it. There's teams there like the New York Italians.
The Brooklyn Italians. Get it right. The Brooklyn
There's
Italians.
Whatever Greeks, the Yugoslavs.
Yep.
It's incredible.
Great histories. And if you haven't been to the Hall of Fame, if you haven't been to the Hall of Fame itself too, there's a bunch of US Open Cup in the Hall of Fame as well. Check that out, Toyota Stadium. We're gonna
that history is bigger than our team. That's all I have to say.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of cool stuff both in the Hall of Fame and then downstairs at the Hall of Fame Club. There's at the U.S. Open Club. The only shitty part right now is that there is currently a Houston scarf wrapped around the trophy, and we need to change that soon.
Oh, so. I thought you were going to say that they still got to get that stink of Alexi Lawless being at the Hall of Fame out from this past week.
Which we'll talk about that offline, but I have thoughts about that. All right, so that's it for FC Dallas. Let's move on to my personal growing favorite club right now, the Dallas Trinity.
Well, I guess we want to call it the real show in town, but not this week.
I know, not this week. Trinity fall 1-0 to Tampa Bay Sun in the Tampa Bay Sun. And the Hannah Keene for Tampa Bay with the lone goal scored. Also, the auspicious.
By the way, great shot.
Yes, absolutely.
Fantastic shot. Holy cow. Well deserved.
For those, speaking of, this would probably be a future Dallas Trinity question 5, 6, 7 years from now on a contest to win Trinity tickets. But who was the first ever red card issued to in the USL Super League?
Unfortunately, it was not our very own Amber Brooks like we would have liked.
Fortunately, it wasn't Amber Brooks, and that the Tampa Bay captain was received the first ever red card. Listro on
Jordan
this
Listro.
Jordan
Yeah.
Listro. Sorry, I
Yeah.
was couldn't seem to locate her first name here on my paperwork.
Yeah. Well deserved, in my opinion.
I believe she was sent off for her own protection because Amber Brooks would have killed her.
A well deserved red, though. I didn't actually see if she even argued about it or anything, but I think most players would argue just to do it. But yeah, I think well deserved. Tampa Bay have been a heavily disciplined team this season, right? So it was high likelihood that it was going to be Brooks or someone from Tampa Bay. uh, Unfortunately, I don't know. Team just couldn't capitalize. A lot of people make a lot out of playing with a man up, a player up the whole game. And a lot of times, if the other team is organized enough, it can be harder to play against a team that's missing a player
And
because they know what they have. They set up their block, they counterattack. And if your team can't break down that low block, what are you going to do? We've seen it with FC Dallas so many times where it doesn't matter how long you were up a man.
and
The other
Tampa
team knows how to defend.
absolutely Tampa's pressure game was incredible, right? Tampa
Oh,
was the
yeah.
pressure that they had playing a man down was absolutely unbelievable.
It didn't look
And
like we had an advantage at all.
right, it looked like we were at disadvantage for majority of that match up
There were
until I'd say the
moments.
last 15-20 minutes or so where they really started getting forward and got a couple of chances that they couldn't capitalize on. But let's not bury the lead here either. I mean,
Yeah.
this Trinity team was supposed to fly out on Friday for a Saturday night match. So they're supposed to be out. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if they fly Southwest or American. It's one or the other here in DFW. So they fly out of Love or fly out of DFW. But regardless, the amount of time spent in the airport, they spent a good chunk of all day Friday in the airport. I'm assuming they may have even stayed there in the airport overnight and not gotten out till Saturday
Yeah, I'm
morning.
not sure. I mean, they even did AMAs on Instagram and stuff. They were
Right. So
bored.
so they spent all day Friday night, most likely in the airport, didn't get out until Saturday morning, got on a flight Saturday morning. You lose an hour going forward into Tampa. You have to adjust your body clock, which is not easy to begin with, especially if you've been spending the entire night in the airport, right? It's an hour, it's not a lot, but it does change your rhythm a little bit. And then
The older you get, the more it happens to.
right. Thankfully they're all like 19 and younger, so good for them. But I can't bounce back after losing an hour. But anyway,
Well, athletes have fine-tuned bodies. The hour can make a big difference.
right, exactly, right. There are things that go on, but you get to a hotel Saturday afternoon now. By the time they land, they get checked in, and they probably need to check because I mean this league is clearly based on the broadcast stream and everything else that went on, the quality of the stream.
Oh
This is
my
not a
god.
league that is spending tremendous amounts of money on travel and lodging. They're flying commercial. They're
Yeah.
not flying charter. They're flying commercial. Which I'm sure they're staying at like a Marriott or a Courtyard or something the
What was
equivalent.
next to the stadium that they could walk to?
Right, whatever the official hotel is there for Tampa Bay away, which USL headquarters is in Tampa Bay, right down the street as well. So I'm sure they have a hotel.
You'd
Not,
hope.
not to say that it's a bad hotel or any of these teams have bad hotels or anything like that, but even with a late checkout, you're getting out at 1. You got to go to the stadium and pick up practice and everything else. They looked like a team that hadn't slept in 2 days.
Yeah,
Is
the
the
rhythm
whole
is
point I'm making.
absolutely. It throws your rhythm off one way or the other, and it does make a difference. Yeah, they did look a little lost. It did look a little travel hungover, that's for sure. There was a couple of moments that really concerned me this game, just in terms of like character and grit. Uh, there was a couple of moments where late in the game when Tampa Bay is wasting time, and let's face it, they wasted time the whole game.
Oh, they shit
Which
house with the best of
it's
them.
a run the clock out situation. I hate it, but I respect it. It's the game.
There was
And
some serious shit housing going
there
on.
was a couple of times where the ball would go to the keeper, and instead of pressuring the keeper, they would just let her stand there over the ball while our entire team was just running back up the field waiting for the kick to be taken.
Mhm.
And only Brooks would run up to it and pressure to get her to pick it up. That's not good.
Yeah, and Amber was playing both sides of the midfield. It really looked like, right? It looked like
Yeah,
she
and on
was
top of that, Amber didn't have her best game. I mean,
no.
no one had their best game, and even Amber, who was still trying, just also didn't quite get it done. And I don't know, team looked kind of lost. It was kind of a bummer to watch. It sucks to lose 1-0 when the team is down a man for how many minutes was that? 60?
70 plus, I think.
Okay, and on top of that, for the last 10, they were essentially down another player.
Yeah, there was it wasn't that long.
Okay,
It was less than 5 minutes, but they had a good 5 minute run where it was
felt longer
11v9.
to me.
There was at
But
least 5 or 6 minutes where they went 11v9
yeah, but
due to
yeah,
a concussion, and Tampa exhausted their bench because they had 3 concussion protocols.
yeah. This team just these weird moments where the team can't seem to take advantage has happened more than
And that's
once.
something they've been really good at all season, is capitalizing on other teams' mistakes. And they
Yeah, they've
just
been good at forcing mistakes and then capitalizing in the moment. But this grand mistake they couldn't capitalize on, which was a huge bummer. Like we know we have the offense to do it, but I don't know. Maybe it was just a combination of the travel hangover and the grit and resilience of Tampa Bay. I don't know. Did they get out coached? I know that Coach McDonald was not too happy about the result, obviously. Uh,
and she shouldn't be. She expects
no,
a lot more
absolutely
from
not.
this team.
Absolutely not. Unfortunately, this is one of those games that it wasn't a must win, but it really helps you to try to claim the regular season, right? Because now we're looking at this league and we have 3 games left and we're 6 points behind. That being said, if we're trying to get first, that being said, the team that's ahead of us, we do play on the last match day. So our fate is
Still largely in
slightly
our
in
hands.
our
Yeah.
hands. I wouldn't say totally, but largely in our hands. Kind of looking like that last match day might be fun if the Pegasi can win their next couple of matches. My concern right now is that we're going to see something that happens in Major League Soccer all the time, that it's not about how you get there throughout the whole season. It's about how you got there at the end.
Yep.
And form wins playoffs. And looking at these teams, it's hard to say that Trinity's in good form per se. Let's see how this run of away games treats us, but I'm worried that we're going to run into playoffs not in a good spot.
Well, they head
And injuries are still a problem, right?
they head to DC this later this week, midweek game Thursday afternoon. DC Power, and
Eliminated already, right? DC?
yeah, I believe DC has officially been eliminated as of this weekend. So hopefully
Yes,
they
they
can
have.
pick up 3 there. Um, and then we've got one more road game after that. But I think again, I want to chalk this one up to just a crappy travel experience and crappy travel day, and they just were exhausted. And it's unfortunate, in a small league that's growing as it is, and a startup league like this, these types of things are going to happen. But it sucks that it came this late in the season when it was most important, when they really needed 3 points. But they're still in second place, they're still in a playoff spot, and still in a home playoff spot, right?
Yeah,
So
definitely not a time to panic. That's for
right,
sure. Uh, DC Power should be there for the taking. Uh,
let's turn the lights
unfortunately,
out.
yeah, turn the power out. Uh, we'll see how they bounce back. I think it'll be a good indicator of where they're at and how this team's feeling. Good news is that game doesn't happen until Thursday.
Mhm.
So, losing a day on the weekend will hopefully not be as tragic.
Yeah, hopefully
Uh,
they made it home either late last night or early this morning, and then they'll be back out to DC. I'm assuming Wednesday,
yeah, I would assume so.
or actually
Hopefully.
probably Tuesday. They'll be out to have a day in DC to practice, and then
Yeah, I don't know how they do their schedules for this kind of thing, especially when you have 3 away games in a row to Tampa, DC, Fort
yeah.
Lauderdale.
I mean, I assume everybody comes home because they're not going to put the club up in in a hotel for
Yeah, you're
3 or 4
probably right.
days.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
Well,
they come home and then they're back out in a day or two. But
I still have a lot of faith in them. They certainly got the players to pull some stuff off. The injuries are still concerning and freaking me out. And yeah, I guess I don't really want to say much more about this game. It was a huge disappointment. The stream was horrible. Watching them play in this stadium, by the way, is it Riverfront Stadium or
yep,
Riverside? It's Riverfront.
I think it's Riverfront.
Um, It's a nice little USL stadium. I think it seats like 5,000. I looked it up.
Very cool little stadium. Their supporter
Yeah.
section right behind the goal looked really nice, and it looked like a great little section. And then you've got the river out in the back, and I think we had a ball end up in the river at one point.
Yeah,
late
which
in
is
the game.
wild.
Yep.
Shade to San Francisco there, I guess. But Tampa Bay has two great stadiums for soccer. They have the Rowdies Stadium and they have this stadium, and
Al Lang,
they're both wonderful. But man, I started getting real jealous. I love being at the Cotton Bowl. It's cool to see the soccer history there. But man, we have phenomenal attendance, and it just feels like there's no one there a lot of the times at the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, it would be
If
nice to
we
get
had
our
that number of
3.
people at a stadium like that, we would be such a force to be reckoned with at home in terms of just our atmosphere and everything.
Either that or we got to get 80,000 out of the Cotton Bowl, one or the other.
Yeah, I got jealous. That's all it was. I was just thinking about how much louder and how much like more intimate our stadium would be in that case. I guess give us a couple of years, we'll see what the front office and the Neils are thinking. But
yeah, I mean,
I'd love to get somewhere.
We've got two great soccer specific stadiums coming up in the Metroplex right now. We got Mansfield, where North Texas is going to be playing, that they just broke ground on. And one of these we'll get to in a minute or two too. We've got the new home of USL Dallas being built out in Garland off of the George Bush, so that'll be out there soon too. So that's going to be a USL stadium though. So be interesting to see what happens. With,
all of that just to say that it'll be really cool when we get into that kind of stadium if we can keep the attendance going the way it's been going this year. I'm excited to see that build up.
I will I want to point out real quick that the community beer watch party got mentioned on the Peacock broadcast. So, sick, right? I mean, obviously, I have to deal with the club that they were able to make that happen. Unfortunately, like I said, I was sick, so I didn't make either of the watch parties this weekend. But I can only imagine that if they were being at community when that happened, probably got a little bit of a cheer from the crowd there. I think that would have been really cool.
Yeah, from what I understand, they had audio and everything, so they heard it.
Very nice, very cool. So shout out to that. And then we do need to mention one more thing on the subject of Dallas Trinity. We need to get real serious here for a moment. Hubert and I have an apology to issue.
All right, I've done a bad thing.
Dennis, we both have.
I think
we both have
done a bad thing. We, as the self-righteous assholes we are, thought we knew how to pronounce one of the greatest players on our team's name. We were corrected this week. Not by the player, but we were sent video of the player saying their own name. Sorry, I'm trying to hold back the tears here. It is pronounced Ubogu.
Obogu,
not Obugagu.
Which
I personally went after Peacock.
Same.
I tweeted at people.
Same.
I corrected people in the stadium. I corrected people at tailgates.
Same.
I was complaining to my wife.
Same.
About why can't these commentators get this right? USL is an embarrassment. Why don't they have pronunciation guides? Only to find out I was wrong.
I was going off the pronunciation I heard the first couple of times I was in the stadium, which I could be wrong. Maybe I just drank too much, but the last game I was at too, I'm pretty sure the stadium announcers got it wrong too. So
yeah,
Chiomo, we love you.
Yes.
We apologize. We want to get it right, and I guess that just means we have to buy jerseys. But
I want to make it up to you, but I don't know how.
We absolutely apologize for making that mistake, and we will never get it wrong again. I promise you.
No, and this is as
we need to turn it into a chant. I think that's how we properly apologize, is to get this into a chant somehow. So if you are in the Trinity supporter section, which I know we haven't come up with an official name for it, but I'm going to call it the Dungeon of Doom.
I think from what I learned, I was talking to a couple of people involved with the team about a month ago. If you're watching the games, you can clearly hear every announcer saying Ubogagu.
Yes.
And it changed almost immediately to Ubogu. And apparently that's because a hero from Dallas Trinity, I don't think he'll mind me saying, Travis, apparently made an effort to get on the announcer's case about saying her name correctly and the way that she wanted it said. And that is the reason it changed like so quickly. So, shout out to Chioma, shout out to Travis, and big thumbs down to me and Dennis for being the worst.
Yeah, it's fine. Come tell us how dumb we are and how dumb
Yeah.
we sound.
Hey, and before we leave Dallas Trinity, I do want to shout out their watch parties. Let's see, what's today? The 5th. Okay. So on the 24th, which is
Well, the next upcoming watch party is they have a game for this
8th.
Thursday.
Yeah, that's 8th, correct? I just want to make
Yes,
sure I have my dates
Thursday
right.
5/8 is at City Futsal
City
at 6
Futsal.
at
Yeah.
6 p.m.
And if you haven't been to City Futsal, man, get out there. They have a really cool setup there. It's all open air. There's indoor soccer facilities. Well, I say indoor, like turf, kind of stuff.
It's a futsal court.
Futsal, yeah, it's futsal, duh. But they got TVs and everything. They do watch parties for all sorts of stuff, and I think it's gonna be a really cool venue to watch Trinity play at. And they'll be back at Community on the 24th for the next game. So if you can get out to those watch parties, man, they've been a lot of fun. And I don't know about at City Futsal, but at Community, they've done a promotion where if you show up at Dallas Trinity, your first beer is free.
Which they mentioned on the broadcast.
Awesome.
Very cool. Very cool. Anything else before we move on from Dallas Trinity?
No. I'm hoping for a bounce back.
Well, I'm going to bust into a new segment that we've added here, which probably isn't going to go the way I wanted it to go this week. Again, I'm under the weather, but we're going to call this a beer break. Normally, I think that the plan to be here, I think we just we crack open a cold one here and talk about what we're drinking or talk about a beer we've had in the past week. But we could also turn this into a coffee break as well, since I know you're a big coffee guy. I like coffee myself. I'm not as big of a coffee nerd as you are. I just like it caffeinated. But and my answer to this question is going to be NyQuil and tea.
Wait, is it NyQuil or Robitussin? I thought you said Robitussin earlier.
Robitussin and tea. I'm not being brand specific, but my choice, my go-to choice here has been Robitussin and hot tea this week. But what are you drinking this week?
Man, I'm drinking a cold brew that I literally just pulled out of my toddy brewer.
It would be great if we could see it.
Yeah, sorry. I was seeing if I still have the bag. I don't have the bag on me, but this is from Amaya Coffee Roasters. They're a Texas roaster, completely local. You
Very
got
cool.
notes of raspberry jam, panela. Delicious. I brewed this for 24 hours over the last day, and Amaya is not a Dallas brand, but they are a Texas brand. And I got them from a local shop in Tyler called Likewise Coffee. If you're ever in Tyler, Texas, please hit up Likewise. Fantastic coffee shop. I'm there frequently.
I am personally going to, at your recommendation, since you've turned me on to this, I'm going to hit up Lemma this week when I'm up in Frisco and go refill my bean bag over here since I am out of coffee.
Lemma is right by the stadium.
Literally in the parking lot. You can walk there from the tailgate.
I'm always shocked how many people at the tailgate are like, oh, where'd you get a coffee? And I pointed out and they go, I didn't know that was there.
So if you are, we'll fill the spot with beer and coffee moving forward. But if you have a beer brand you want us to share, if you have a coffee brand you want us to share, you have something else, you got some mate or whatever else you got going on, you want us to share, you want us to review, drop us a line. We'll put something together. We would like to turn this into a sponsorship at some point, but we'd love to just get some brands out there and talk about some stuff and, grow with you as we're growing. So
I will answer your coffee questions if you want. Okay. I'm just shy of being a coffee expert. Let's go.
Let's go. The coffee corner, the beer break. We'll figure out what we're going to call this, but we're going to drop this in here. Also want to give a huge shout out to all of the traveling supporters over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, holy cow.
I know we had some DBG folks that went to both games. I know Matador had a few folks that went to both games or one or the other. But wow. If you went to one of those road games and you'd like to talk about it, drop us a line. We'd love to have you on and talk about, road travel and what that's like. I personally have never done any games outside of Texas, or road games outside of Texas at least, but it'd be nice to hear what that travel experience is like. So if you were one of those, please drop us a line and we'd love to have you on.
Yeah, shoot. A lot of you guys have our numbers, but you've got us on social media as well. Let us know. I think it'd be fun to break down what that is like and what your experiences were, because everyone experiences away travel differently. Different people do different things. Some people fly in the day of, and then fly out the next morning and don't do anything in town. Some people spend a whole weekend. Everyone does it so differently. I want to hear people's experiences.
Yeah, would love to talk about that. Shoot us a line in Discord if you don't have our numbers. If you don't, it's easy to get in touch with us. We're not hard to reach. Although beer break is a good name for that segment. The next segment is what could also be the coffee segment too, but around the grounds.
Oh yeah, that is the good one.
That's probably
Dang.
damn. We should probably save that one.
Wow, that's my new MLS coffee shop recommendations
Around the
podcast.
grounds. There we
Yeah, that's
go.
pretty good.
Um, we'll run through this real quick since we're getting short on time here. But any games, anything you saw of interest this week in MLS or elsewhere in
We got to talk about Kansas City winning without a shot. The LA Galaxy are in such a poor position right now that they lost a game against a team that didn't take a single shot.
That's the crappy thing about MLS is that
Incredible.
last year's winner just has to completely break the bank, and the defending champions are at the bottom of the table. That's kind of terrible.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. I'd cry more tears if it was the LA Galaxy. Probably. Not to pile on them. They have some great supporters, but man,
I'll take them over the LAFC Plastics any day.
Oh, any day. It's also a little shocking that the own goal came from Yoshida.
Right.
I think he might be their captain right now. Either way, he's one of the more seasoned leaders, and it was kind of a bummer to see it. And as soon as it went in, the look on his face was shameful. Felt so bad. But that was my fun thing to point out for the weekend.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that anymore. That's going to be another fun fact someday in MLS trivia.
Absolutely.
Quick gear shift over to the east side of the Metroplex here. USL Dallas had their brand reveal party this weekend, and they will henceforth be known as Atletico Dallas.
Atletico. No TH. Atletico.
No,
it's a hard one. I'm
from New York.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, I didn't get to go to this watch party because unfortunately I didn't have anybody to watch the myriad of animals at my home. And I was hoping Dennis would make it out because he's our closest guy to it, I think.
I was, again, under the weather all week. Miserable.
So I actually don't know that any Guardians got out to that watch party, unfortunately.
I don't think so.
But yeah, I mean, the brand was revealed. They showed us what were their colors. It's a silver, a light blue, and a black.
Silver ore, I think, is the.
They gave the names. Yeah, what were their actual names?
I don't have it in front of me, but it was silver ore, the black, something oil related black, and then the really cool light blue that I don't remember the name of. That looks.
It's a nice light blue.
It's a little bit like McKinney's blue, a little less electric, a little more Carolina. If you haven't seen that, it's actually kind of like the color of your shirt there, almost.
Oh yeah, kind of is. This one's probably a little too vibrant still.
Yeah, it's cool crest, snake and a wolf in battle. Would have been nicer if I had a soccer ball, but
a rattlesnake, and specifically, I think it's like a Mexican gray wolf or something like that.
Yeah, something the native wolf to Texas region. I don't know if it's a Dallas specific. It's kind of cool, and as far as the crest goes, I would say, and I think I said this in our chat too. If this was the crest of 100-year-old third Portuguese side, we'd love it.
Yeah, I'm personally not a big fan of the branding so far. I am happy to see that if you're going to
some merch already.
Yeah, I mean they did put some merch out, right?
Yeah, I bought a T-shirt and a hat, of course.
Yeah. One of the things I do like that is if you're going to take this route of non-American naming conventions, at least Atletico is not common.
Right. It's not.
That's a nice change of pace from your FCs, your Uniteds, and Reals and all that. So I'll say credit on that one.
And also, if you look at most Atleticos, it's they are the second team in the area, right?
Yeah.
AC Milan is another version of that.
Right. I'm wondering if they're trying to emulate a European brand, or if they're trying to emulate a Mexican, Latin American.
I think it's a little both.
Yeah, it's hard for me to know for sure. They also dropped a jersey, I believe, design.
I don't know if that was official.
Oh, okay, cool.
I don't
I
know if that
just
was
found
official or a leak. We haven't gotten confirmation that that's the official design yet, so TBD on that. But the merch is really cool stuff. There's some trucker hats, there's some snapbacks, there's a nice little dad hat that I got my hands on. There's a really interesting work jacket that is kind of like a barbershop type work jacket that has their slogan on it. So check it out. It's on their website. But you know me, I'll be supporting new merch. You know, I can't stop spending money on merch. It's financially crippling me at this point. But we're running very late on time here. So any final thoughts?
Unexpected.
Like yeah, I know we can't shut the hell up. Any final thoughts or toast or yeah, let's do this real quick. There's something I want to add here. Just a toast to a player, a supporter, a moment, or something you've had to drink this week.
Well, last night I threw back a couple of full-grown men from Tups.
What you do in your private life is none of our business.
Yeah, if you haven't had the Tups full-grown man series of beers, terrific. That's my shout out beer wise. Man, sports wise, I'm just excited to get back to the US Open Cup like we always do. That's my big thing coming up. I hope people show up for this game, and I hope we make a good showing. Can't emphasize enough how important the Open Cup is for the history of this league. And I don't think Marcus would be happy if we didn't mention that the US Open Cup is good for all local US soccer.
100%.
All of it.
100%.
So please support it.
My toast this week is going to be to the man who is off the recovery report, off the injury report, and hopefully back in the lineup in the next couple of days. Paxton Pomical, welcome back. We can't wait to see you out there.
Love it.
Let's
go Sundance.
Let's go. And for some Guardian business, you can find us this week at Beer. We'll be hosting a beer exchange at the U.S. Open Cup game this Wednesday on the 7th. What that means is bring some beer. We will have some beer there, but the idea is to bring something that maybe somebody something local to you or something that you really like and you want to share with others, and we'll swap.
If you're coming from AV Alta, come, man.
Hell yeah!
Just look at Dallas Beer Guardians on Google Maps. We come up where our tailgate's at.
Or hit us up directly if you're an
please.
AV Alta supporter, if you're in town, because they're Alta's playing Texoma. Oops.
But they're playing Texoma at home, by the way.
Oh, I thought they were playing Texoma here. I misread that schedule. Never mind then. But if you're here, if you got some local stuff, if you want to try some of our local stuff, go pick up a sixer at the grocery store and link up with us in the parking lot.
Go to HEB.
Yeah, go to HEB or go to 7-Eleven or wherever you shop. I don't care. But we will be there, and then we will be back in full tailgate for the 5-10 game this Saturday against RSL. We will have a full tailgate contingent. There is, I heard something about funeral potatoes on the menu. I don't know.
Did you say funeral potatoes?
Funeral potatoes. It's a Utah thing. We'll talk about that.
Okay.
Time. You'll have to show up to the tailgate to find out.
I guess so.
And then the DC Power. Dallas Trinity DC Power game, watch party at City Futsal, 6 p.m. on Thursday. Lots of places to catch downtown Dallas. Lots of places to catch us. Lots of places to catch Guardians. Lots of places to catch some footy out here. But for myself, for Hubert, for Marcus, who is not with us this week, and for everybody else here, all the Guardians, stay loud, stay proud, stay hydrated. Blood, sweat, and beers. We are out. Like, share, and subscribe.